he literally walked up to me and was like, what's your plan in 5 years? And I'm looking at him like, sir, I just want to graduate on time. Like, what do you? And I was so taken back. Because no one had ever approached me so frank, if you will, or direct.
No pun intended.
No one had ever approached me like that. In a sense, I was attracted to it, but I couldn't let him know that. But at the same time.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Frank Johnson, founder of HBCU Culture Legacy Foundation.
Hey, family, it's your girl LaKeisha Johnson, co-founder of HBCU Culture Legacy Foundation, and we're checking in with Historically Black Sense.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Historically Black Sense, the culture. And today we have the founders of the HBCU Culture Legacy Foundation, the Kingdom Plug, and being that this is about HBCUs, I think they have some great ties to Johnson C. Smith University. Mr. and Mrs. Frank and LaKeisha Johnson, how you doing?
Good. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming on. I know y'all have a busy schedule. Y'all have a lot coming up, and
exactly.
a big weekend coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I definitely appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
So I like to get into it, being that this is about HBCUs and things, D9 or whatever. But let's get into the HBCU aspect of this.
Right.
Johnson C. Smith University.
That's right.
How did it come about that you all went to Johnson C. Smith?
Well,
First of all,
yeah.
are you from North Carolina?
Well, yep. I am actually from a little small town called Johnsonville, right outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And I went to Johnson C. Smith from 2001 to 2004.
Okay. Now, we're going to get into that in a minute too, because you did say until 2004, and I know that some things went on that caused you to have to leave.
That's right.
So, now about you, Mrs. LaKeisha.
Absolutely. Born and raised, shout out to the 804 from Richmond, Virginia. Went to Johnson C. Smith University 2004 to 2008.
Okay. Now, I always ask people, every guest on the show, did Johnson C. Smith choose you all, or did you all choose Johnson C. Smith?
Of course, I chose Johnson C. Smith.
Mm.
Growing up in North Carolina, like I said, 2001, I was a member of the marching band, and there was two institutions that were their choice. So Johnson C. Smith won my vote because I was in the city of Charlotte, biggest corporate banking, second largest corporate banking center in the U.S. next to Manhattan. Right, and I always wanted to be a corporate banker, so that's why I chose Johnson C. Smith.
A corporate banker. All right. Now you don't hear too many people saying that they want to be a corporate banker.
Right.
Why? Where did that come from? You woke up one day and said, "Hey, I want to be a corporate banker," because that's very interesting. If you ask me, I don't know about you, Mr. Keisha, but that's interesting.
It's just, I think it was, growing up, it was just the allure of what Wall Street represented. Right. So. I'm a suit, pocket square type of guy, so that's kind of just fit my personality type, and just I've always been a numbers guy as well.
Okay. And you, Mrs. LaKeisha?
I would say definitely I chose Johnson C. Smith. As a matter of fact, what drew me to Smith was the marching band, which is actually how we met later on. While I was a senior at Smith, I was actually in the band. I was a dancer in the band, captain on the dance team. Shout out to Blue Satin. And my husband, during his time, was actually a section leader for our drum line. So that's actually how we met. Case in point, what we do now, our HBCU Culture homecoming event. So that's actually how I got to Smith.
Okay. The band and the dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has music always been? I want to ask that first.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? Do you have any parents that has ties to music? Any family members? Any friends? What made you go? Go there in the band. And I was about to say something, but I already know the answer. I was going to say, did you get a scholarship or did you not? However, we're going to get into that later. So, how did you end up in the band?
Well, I've been playing drums since I was 4 years old. So, it's a musical gift that runs in my family. Everyone. My siblings except one plays an instrument. All of my uncles, they had professional groups that had recording deals and stuff like that back in the day. So music's in our blood.
Wow. Okay. Anybody that we may know?
But, a couple of my cousins are producers, but my uncles, little Larry, back in the day, back in the 60s, they had a record deal with Atco Records, which was the black label for Atlantic Records. Long story short, that's a lot of history if you kind of Google it. Back then, deals weren't necessarily fair. Things kind of got rocky, and it went its way. So, in a sense, what I'm doing now is part of that legacy and reclaiming even some of those things from a family perspective for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, Miss LaKeisha, a dancer.
Yes.
Now we're gonna get this straight now. In college, she was a dancer. not the dancers that a lot of people think here in Atlanta. Let's be clear about that, all right?
Not the city.
Not the city. How did you become a dancer? Did you go to school on scholarship, or
as a matter of fact, all my life, with the same thing, dance, different genres, whether it was tap, African, hip hop, you name it, and then of course fast forward in high school, joined the dance team and the marching band in high school, which also of course drew my interest to being on the dance team on college and the HBCU collegiate level as well. So absolutely.
Wow, okay, that's amazing. So let's hop into this. Well, you know, let me before I go there. You all met at a homecoming.
Yep.
Now homecoming.
Did your research?
Yeah, I did some research. You all met at a homecoming.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that. I hope this wasn't one of those homecomings where you all woke up the next day like, wait, what did I do? Well, clearly not, because y'all see the rock on her finger, right? So evidently somebody made the right choice at homecoming. And speaking of homecomings are such a big staple at HBCUs.
Right.
You could go to any, not knocking any other college or university at all, so don't think that. But it's not, I don't feel that it's the same school pride. It's not the same rich legacy that an HBCU homecoming holds.
Right.
So how did this come about? Because at the time, this was a later date, even from when you all were in college.
That's right.
So how did you all run into each other? Was it at a party after the game? Was it a tailgate?
It's wild. So, like I mentioned, we mentioned our timelines. We barely missed each other. When she was coming into school, I was, one semester removed. So I came back from for homecoming a couple of years later, and she was actually at band rehearsal. So I was pulling up to the band room, and she was looking good. And
I was looking good.
She had to be get a rock like that later on. So yeah,
shoot your shot Fridays, baby. So
shoot your shot.
I just had one question, and shoot your shot Fridays. I had one simple question, and what was the question?
Literally, he didn't ask my name, he didn't ask me, where I was from, whatever. He literally walked up to me and was like, what's your plan in 5 years? And I'm looking at him like, sir, I just want to graduate on time. Like, what do you? And I was so taken back. Because no one had ever approached me so frank, if you will, or direct.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. No one had ever approached me like that. In a sense, I was attracted to it, but I couldn't let him know that. But at the same time, I'm just like, who walks up to someone like that?
Do you remember what I said after that, though? It's the question.
What did you say?
I said, you'll be with me.
Yeah.
And walked off.
Yeah.
this man can do no wrong. I have never in my life thought about approaching anyone saying, "What's your 5-year plan?"
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think half the people I've approached know what their 5-day plan is. But
it was authentic, right? So that was a real question. I wasn't running around in the city like, "What you doing in 5 years?"
Yeah.
No, but that was a real something I felt. That moment was.
And it's interesting because after that, we didn't. I think at this point that was like 2007. So that was first semester of senior year. At this point, fast forward 2008, I graduated. We crossed paths again at an event, but that was kind of again high and by. So like a year and some change later, at that time I was actually looking for a church home or something like that. And a friend of mine was like, just come on to church with me. And I'll go in church. I walk in church. Who's on the drum set at the church?
This man who asked you your 5-year plan on the drum.
It was so crazy. And this is actually when Facebook was like fresh new. And so I literally looked him up like a stalker on Facebook, and I was like, hey, you probably don't remember me. I was invited to your church today. I absolutely enjoyed it. have a nice day. I didn't think he was going to hit me back and nothing. 2 minutes later, he was like, yes. He was like, I remember you. I saw you when you walked in. I was like, oh, God.
Correction, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I had doubts.
Exactly.
It couldn't have been 2
What?
minutes.
Whoa. No, but it never
Wait a
since
minute,
then.
wait a minute.
We've been together ever since.
Hold on, I have to cut in right here. This guy comes up to you. What's your 5-year plan? You go in church and he's playing the drum. He's 2 for 2 at this point. He has a plan together and he's in the church.
Already, and then that was 2009, and we've been together ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, so yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop. Okay, all right, let me keep moving on. Keep moving on. So, prior to you all meeting, when you were in college, you had to leave college for a very serious matter due to the sickness of your father, correct?
That's right.
And if I read correctly and did my research correctly, your father was paying your tuition.
Yes.
And so you couldn't get the funds that you needed to actually finish at Johnson C. Smith at the time, and you had to leave and make a very, very difficult decision.
Yeah.
So at the time of you leaving for college, has that always, first of all, had that always been a goal of your dad for you to just go to college? It had to be for him to pay your tuition, because a lot of parents, it's like, we trying to get these loans, we trying to get whatever we can do these days, and especially, black college students, it's like, whatever we need to do, but it's rare that it's like, hey, look, this is your college tuition, I'm gonna pay it, bam, whatever.
Yeah. So, with my dad, I had a very supportive father, so what you probably didn't read in that story, at the same time, when me going to school, I had another sister that was in school in another private institution.
Okay.
So, just kind of give a breakdown of the finances. At the time, Johnson C. Smith, all in, was about $35 grand a year. I had a 10% scholarship, $3,500 a year, and my dad was bankrolling the rest. Right. So again, my father was an owner-operated trucker, and so he made fairly decent money. So really, there wasn't a lot of financial options except at a private institution. Except my dad paid this, paid the tuition, right? So long story short. I made that choice based upon his other obligations, as well as just family obligations that were needed at the time. So it was, honestly, at the time, it wasn't a difficult decision for me.
Okay.
Because what I believed is, I'll take my time. When it's my time to finish, I'll finish. But also, it's a bigger need in my family right now, so I'm going to have to fill this void.
Now, what did you think about it when you first found out about that story?
To be honest, honestly, when we started dating, my background is in HR, and so for a long time, while I knew my husband did what he had to do to support his family, because that's just how he is, I knew for a long time, I think it was something that he probably was ashamed of, because graduating from HBCU, or graduating period, that's a big deal. That's a huge accomplishment. And for a long time, me being in HR, I always wanted to support him. So I'm actually the one making the resumes, and on the resume I would put, Johnson C. Smith, BA degree in finance. You go support your man.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, it's so interesting, because what I see what his story was in his testimony, if you will, the same man that unfortunately had to drop out of school, Lord bless his soul, because his father became ill and then later passed, is the same man that's actually helping kids stay in school. So in the beginning, was it tough? Absolutely. But to see him take that and transform that to actually give back to other people so they don't have to make the same decision that he had to make, I actually could not be more proud. I'm so proud.
And that's very dope, and a lot of times they can be in an unfortunate situation, but a major blessing to others came out of that. Which kind of gears me towards my next topic here. As y'all can see, the shirts, HBCU Culture Matters. All right, so now I'm gonna make sure I got this right. All right, the HBCU Culture Legacy Foundation, which is a 501c3. That's right. Which is it helps students with financial support, and to this day you all have raised over $1.9 million in scholarships.
That's right.
Now that is a pretty healthy penny, and once again, if I'm correct, that came from you wanting, once again, like you all just said, but I want to kind of reiterate, from your situation, and you never wanted the student to have to go through that again, correct?
That's right.
So let's say, you know, you're in this situation, you have to leave school. What you said wasn't a difficult choice because, you know, it's always family first, as it should be. At what point in life did you come up with this? I mean, were you just one day like, man, I'm in my room, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I kind of want to help somebody because I don't want them to go through this situation? Did you sit down and have lunch with your homeboy and consult about this matter? Or how did that come about? Because to accomplish over 1.9 million to date,
Yeah.
that's a pretty healthy accomplishment.
That was good. That was good. So I would say this. I mean, I've always been blessed, even without a degree, to be a decent income earner. Right. So during that time frame of coming up with this idea, I was in corporate banking for a while. I climbed the corporate chart. And so one thing I want to really encourage a lot of people, right? Even without a degree, or if you feel like you need a master's degree, one of the most important things that you can do is to be a lifelong continual learner, right? So we were blessed with just using some of the band skills, or 4:30 a.m.s and self-development, reading 50, 60 books a year, stuff like that. And so LaKeisha and I, we had built a business starting our first year of dating. Kingdom Plug was a different company then, but it was an events branding and marketing firm, which is what the core of our business is even now. We had a business, so not only did I have the 9-to-5 for a big part of that, but we had our events branding and marketing firm that we were building at the same time. So we did a lot of events. We started out with a network event called "It's Not What You Know, But Who You Know," and it was wild because we did not know what we were doing, but it was a start. And we literally had a flyer of "It's Not What You Know, But Who You Know" with palm trees, like we were in Miami, but we were in Charlotte.
But you had a plan.
But I had a plan.
You had a plan. Okay.
You had to take one step, right? So with that being said, that business began to grow. So that began to grow into small lounge events. That began to grow into small concerts. And then that began to grow into concerts. And then that began to grow and taking acts on tour.
Wow.
Right? So, I had an epiphany one day. And I said, Keisha, what we're doing is cool. But I think God has given us this plan and this ability to connect people and bring people together for a reason. And that's when it went back to, that kind of thorn in my flesh. That thing that was like bothersome to me. Right? The one thing that I didn't feel accomplishing was my college experience because I didn't complete. So we had a discussion one day and I said, you know what? Let's do a battle of bands. And this is going to be the start of our foundation to create scholarship funds to keep these kids in school. That was 2018.
So that's something that came. I mean, it was a thought. So it always bothered you that you never finished.
Yeah, I'm a finisher. I naturally like to achieve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I recognize, like, you know what? There has to be some purpose in this pain.
Absolutely. That can be an overwhelming thing to say, hey, let's start a battle of the bands, though. Now, that is one thing that all HBCUs have. For people who don't know, there's something we have in common. It is the band. It's like a lot of people, to be honest, I know now in 2022 and 23, we have a whole different movement of things going on as far as HBCUs. You're talking about academics, you're talking about the football team, talking about the golf team, everything is we are in a progressive state of HBCUs at the moment. And I feel like we are in one of the best times that we've ever been in my opinion. Could be wrong, but in my opinion and from what I saw. But people, even if the football team ain't no good, they come to see the bands of the HBCU.
Still to this day.
Even if the football team is good,
don't believe the hype.
We come to see the band. That's the show. And if you notice some of those crowds sometimes after halftime,
they gone.
Some people they scoot out of there.
That's right.
So it's amazing that you could put what you were a part of and say, hey, look, you know what? I was a part of this.
Yeah.
This is a band. I didn't finish school, which was near and dear to me or wanted to finish. Let me put these two together and create something.
Yeah.
I think that's very dope. I don't honestly, even myself, my wheels doesn't turn like that sometimes. So I think that takes a big leap of faith as well. So how hard was it getting it started?
Well, honestly,
I don't like to say hard. What were your challenges?
A venue, and then it was reminded to
You gotta buy.
Or not even just a venue. Biggest thing is here we are. I mean, and even now, because Frank and I, we don't make it about Frank and I.
Yeah.
For a long
Clearly.
time, I want you to know the cause. I want you to know the mission.
Yeah.
I want you to know the purpose. We're not here to shake hands and kiss babies. We're here to do real work. And outside of even trying to find venues and things of that nature, even in the beginning, no one knew our organization. This was a brand new organization that was starting. Even
building the trust
even building trust within the band directors, calling band directors up to say, "Hey, can you participate in my Battle of the Bands?" And and huge shout out to all of the band directors that said yes. Professor H.B.CU Johnson at Benedict. Shout out to Dr. Ruff from A&T, Professor Hollins, who at the time was at Central, who actually was my band director my senior year. So shout out to him.
Dr. Patrick Moore.
Patrick Moore from South Carolina State. Johnson C. Smith in itself. So like, all of these bands, Winston-Salem State, Dr. Magruder, shout out to all of these people who
first said yes,
yes, who never knew us from not a can of paint, but took a chance on us and believed in the vision. And since then, it actually has been an eye-opener, even just doing this to even get a better understanding of what these band programs need. I think when you're students, and God knows we have firsthand experience, we were students in the band. We knew what it took to go through practice all week, do a show on Saturday, but you might have did a parade the day before. You might have had a church event on Sunday, and you're doing this because it's such a big part of the community at large.
That's like I said, once again, I think that's amazing because there can be there can be some obstacles definitely when you're trying to do something as big as the Battle of the Bands.
I'm gonna say this too, man. In regards to obstacles, you would be surprised at the haters.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. No, we wouldn't.
No. And again, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but people have attempted to even scandalize our name and lie on our organization just because they want a seat at the table, right? It's an amazing thing, and sometimes these people look like us, and sometimes they don't, right? So I encourage everybody to do all your research so you understand really what's going on.
Understand, yeah, and I can definitely believe that. I don't really want to say this on this platform, but let's be real.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's us. Most of the time it's us.
So sometimes it is, and then here's the other thing. A lot of other times it's not.
A lot of other times it's not. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. A lot of other times it's not. But yeah. So what is the channels of actually? What are some of the channels of actually getting the bands to participate?
Oh gosh, I was going to say that in itself is a process, but it also requires relationship. Yeah. And that's the key part, right? That's the part where I think people just see all the time, like, such and such band is there, or such and such band came. Like, even what we're doing now, this took intentional work. Okay. And a lot of times this is even beyond, hey, can you come do my event? No. This is even the times before you come and do your event. What are your needs? Here's the thing, and I don't want you to just come to my event every year, whatever. I want to be involved and engaged with your program throughout the year. What do your students need? Yeah. And if it could be something.
Courting, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say too, it's something as simple as for example, when bands are preparing for band camp, and you have God knows how many students, people have no idea how something as simple as keeping the kids hydrated for a 3-4 week period during that camp, and it takes a lot of money, something simple as that. So for us, it's the relationship building. I don't want you to just come and perform. I want to be able to support your organization throughout the year, which is the purpose of why we do what we do.
It's just so we can build a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. So do you all ever come in contact with any of the students that you all have helped?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And what's the most rewarding fact factor of that? Is it just, some people say, hey, they're seeing the smiles on their faces. Some people is like, hey, they don't never have to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
For you, it may be it may be something different. So, what's the most rewarding factors to you all?
I think what you mentioned, at some point in time, all of them play a important part, right? Again, because sometimes, with the challenges of this work, right? It feels good when a student just comes up to you and say, "Hey, man, I appreciate what you guys are doing, what you've done for me." It's wild. I was actually walking into a convenience store at the pump and gas, back home in Fayetteville, and I'm just trying to be low key, and a student from Fayetteville State walks up to me and says, "Hey, Mr. Johnson from president of HBCU Culture." I'm looking around like, who asked you? Like, are you asking somebody in the background? But no. But he was like, man, I just really appreciate what you guys are doing for the culture.
Wow.
And at that time, we had just came off of a long string of events. We're exhausted because we're human too, right? And I'm thinking to myself like, man, we should be doing more. And how can we do more? And this kid just walks up to me and says he appreciates what we're doing with the culture. So that was really rewarding for me.
I was going to say, and even we had a very recent situation. Matter of fact, this band season that just passed, we had a student, and to Frank's point, and even his own experience, there was a student that was literally trying to enroll in college, and something as simple as $250.
Wow.
And it doesn't seem like a lot, or what have you, but that's the point.
They had to go to a pre-summer program to even qualify.
To even qualify to go to school, and in order to do that, he had to pay $250.
His parents just spent their last.
His mother spent his last, but to a similar situation of Frank, the young man had just lost his father.
Wow.
So the mother was doing everything she can to help him get in school, only to know that $250 could have. So we were glad to know. Matter of fact, the school had reached out to us and everything, and we were able to do what we was able to do just to help this young man get to school.
A lot of people wonder why we have different platforms, and that's why we are here having this conversation right now, because first of all, it's amazing what you all are doing.
Thank you.
And like you stated earlier, Mrs. LaKeisha, you don't want it to be about Frank and LaKeisha.
Exactly.
Right. But a lot of people don't know, where you have different organizations in play, no matter if you know who's behind it. I mean, I love to know who's behind things, but whether you do or you're not, it's help out there. It's help. A lot of times, I know when, like you said, when you all were in school, the people before you all, the people before me, it wasn't as many options.
Oh yeah.
And so many people are in debt right now.
Oh yeah.
Due to college, and even if you can help a little bit, that still loosens up that debt a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I once again, I think that the platforms, that's why we do it, to let people know it is help out there. It is so many different organizations who are willing to help, so many different outlets. You don't have to sit there and be stuck over, $250, and I hate that it even happened to them, but $250, yeah, but I'm glad that you all were there to help that situation. So I have a couple of more things real quick.
Yep.
We're gonna get on through it because I know you all have she said it ain't about kissing babies and signing autographs, but we got a whole lot of people outside the door right there. The PR saying wrap it up now. But Kingdom Plug.
Yeah.
Where did that name come from? Because I'm reading it, I see it's a branding and marketing agency, like live events and things of that nature. So where did Kingdom Plug come from? Now, I automatically think about when you saw him in church, but
well, I think you're on to something. Right?
Okay,
right.
I usually am.
So Kingdom Plug, our first event company was FL Giant Enterprise, right? And it started out with my initials, but ironically, my wife's initials are
LaKeisha.
right. So
So
it worked, right? And then phase 2 of that was I went into this crazy party promoter phase, right? And so we would have our FL John stuff, and then we would have FLJENT stuff. So that was kind of the alter ego stuff, right? And that was a state of good things came from that, but a big part of our transition was going from FLJENT to Kingdom Plug. So Kingdom Plug was a state of recognizing purpose. So again, at the same time with HBCU culture, Kingdom Plug was birthed at that exact same time.
Wow.
It was that light switch that went off that said, you know what, God is giving you a purpose to bring people together and to make a difference versus self-serving.
Self-serving. Wow. Okay, that's amazing. So I'm gonna narrow it down and I'm gonna finish here. The big weekend is coming up.
That's right.
Battle of the Bands. You have the gala. You have live vendors. The whole nine throughout this whole weekend. There's so many different sectors. So, what is it that you want to tell the people about this amazing weekend? As far as the gala, as far as the Battle of the Bands. Just tell them what all it entails, who all is going to be there, how you can get your tickets, how you can show up, how you can support, the whole 9 yards. Just let the people know.
Absolutely. Well, what we have coming up.
And if you want to, you can tell the camera.
Martin Luther King weekend, January 13th through the 15th. On the 13th, we actually kick off the event, which is actually our kickoff to our 2023 Phase 2 $10 million goal. Phase 1 was our $1 million goal that you spoke of earlier, and we surpassed that to $1.9 million. But this is actually our kickoff fundraiser and our Founders Gala at Ventana's downtown Atlanta on the 13th. On the 14th, we have the huge HBCU Culture Homecoming Fest, which is actually right on the campus of Morris Brown College. Shout out to Dr. Kevin James, who is our event chair for the gala. And as a matter of fact, Morris Brown is our 2023 focus school. So a portion of our ticket sales from not only the weekend, but throughout the year of the events that we do, we're actually giving back to Morris Brown.
Shout out to Morris Brown.
Shout out to Morris Brown. And at that Fan Fest, we'll have everything from food trucks, vendors, live stage performances, high schools that's going to be doing performances. We also will have a college and career fair. This is free.
You mentioned also the 2 college bands.
Yep, I was going to say, and we also have Clark Atlanta University. Shout out to Clark. Morehouse College that's performing as well.
AUC on lock.
AUC on lock. But that college and career fair is featuring our sponsors, proud sponsors, Publix, Verizon. We are actually the diversity inclusion partners for the FBI, the U.S. Secret Service. So students and alumni can come and actually sign up for jobs on spot. We have HBCUs that are going to be represented, both that's going to participate in the Battle of Bands and not. Students and parents can actually sign up and get scholarships on site. They can also enroll and don't have to pay any application fees because they will be waived.
It's big.
It's huge, huge. And then, of course, wrapping up the weekend, and that Homecoming Fest is on Saturday the 14th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
It's included with your ticket also.
And it's included with your ticket. And, of course, wrapping up the weekend, we got HBCU Culture Battle of the Bands at State Farm Arena on Martin Luther King weekend. This is huge. We are the first organization, Mary Christian Company, that is hosting the Battle of the Bands at State Farm Arena. And of course we have Jackson, we have Southern, we got Talladega, we got Alabama State, we got Alabama A&M, we got Mouse College. We got a lineup. Doors open at 4, show starts at 5, and you can get tickets and you can support, you can make donations at hbcuculture.com.
Also tell them about that one last thing though.
Go ahead.
We gotta download that.
You gotta go. If you got Android, we won't charge that to your heart. But iPhone family, go ahead and download the HBCU Culture Legacy Foundation app, where you can actually get discounts and more information about the event.
That sounds amazing. Now you had me when you say Alabama State University, so I'll be there. I'll be there. My alma mater. Yeah, so tell the people where you can find where you all can be found at on social media, or your website, anything that you just want to put.
Absolutely. You can check us out on IG at HBCU Culture, and of course, again, you can visit us at hbcuculture.com.
You good? Yeah, I'm good. All right. Well, there we go. And my final question is, what would you tell that student who is, or that person, a high school student that's on the verge of going to a PWI versus a HBCU?
Well, I would just say come home. Right. So and again, I might be a little biased, but I know my experience at Johnson C. Smith. I have, friends that I consider family for life. And so just that experience is, you can't replace that anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay. Well, people, first of all, I appreciate you all for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you.
it. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Well, you heard it. Make sure y'all pull up to the events. It's gonna be a eventful, packed weekend that you don't want to miss. Once again, this has been another episode of Historically Black Sense, which is all things HBCU and D9 organization related. This is the premier digital platform, Historically Black Sense. I'll see y'all next time.